Sai, thank you so much for before. Just wanted
Thank
to
you.
have a little bit more time with you to talk about things that are really, really specific about the growth and the trajectory of the company. So tell me, how do you see this current funding round taking you to the next step, to the next milestone, and
Right.
preparing you for the next challenge?
First of all, thank you. Thank you for your support with this funding. We appreciate this very much, the show of trust, and it gives us a way better chance to really succeed and move forward. So thank you for that. This funding should take us well into 2020, about 18 months forward. It will enable us to scale up what we have right now, which was basically focused on California permanent crops, to move into Brazil, South America, Latin America, and into the Far East. And we've initiated those two steps in the past few weeks and months. And we plan to create beachheads, strong beachheads in each of these arenas, and scale up there, become the major permanent crop data providers for farmers in each of these areas, and then move from there into their neighboring countries like Argentina, neighboring Brazil and Chile. They're waiting for us already in these places. They've heard about us. We've conducted initial surveys there, and there's a big need for us, and the same in Southeast Asia. So the funding will enable us to push forward and scale up more geography and more depth also. Depth meaning our service is now focusing into monitoring the fruit production as well as the tree health, and this will help us to go in deep in these aspects. It's a really tough technological challenge, this new area, but we have now the force to do that.
Okay. And when you're talking about going further into South America, and that the fact that they know about you and they're waiting for you, will they wait for you? What is the trajectory? Like,
yeah.
Are they really going to wait?
They're waiting. They have been waiting now for months, and they will wait because they have no alternative. Okay, this is still very new. We've been pretty quiet up till now, and we plan to move as fast as we can. They're waiting because I have to really balance and the focus and expansion rate that we have. I'm really worried about this. We can't be too thin at this point. We have to keep the very high level of quality of service. This is our number one. If I hope, and when you ask our customers, this is what they regard as our biggest strength. They see the quality of service, and that's because we're very personal, and we can be very good when we're focused and on top of that. But scaling, and we plan to scale, and we are scaling already, has to be carefully planned and moved forward, and that's I'm focusing a lot on this. So and they understand, the new markets understand that, but they all think that they're the next market, and we will do that. We will integrate the funding and build some more teams and move forward. So we don't want to keep them waiting too long.
Yeah.
But a few months.
Okay.
During the year we plan
so during
to do.
the year
During 2019 we plan to move into the additional markets. There will always probably be a pipeline waiting for us. And we'll try to be as efficient as we can and quick as we can to get there, but that's the trade-off there.
Because I think definitely part of the magic of C-Tree, of the solution and the quality that you described, is the fact that you couple the software and the technology with the boots on the ground and the teams that actually come once a month, right? And they know, I mean, they're guided because it's very large farms.
Right.
They're guided based on the technology. They know exactly where to go and to take the kind of like the actionable measures.
Yep.
So this brings me to like a natural scaling, challenge,
Yep.
just as you described. Because on one hand, if you have local teams performing that for you, does it reduce from the quality or like the C-tree competitive advantage? And also, like, how can you cater to so many farms and so many customers if you really need to be there once a month at each and every farm?
Right. So the trick is technology and franchising, meaning technology is going, the trend in technology of drone technology and data collection capabilities is in our favor, meaning we can do more with each drone and we can fly a few at a time, and regulations are adjusting for that. So and we can fly higher and capture more. So that's one big trend, and we're on top of that and we're pushing that forward.
Yeah.
The second trend is working with the locals, teaching them. There are more and more local entities in each place that have know-how, basic know-how. It's not the level that we want, but it's good enough for us now to take them in and train them and push them forward. So the way we do it is
They're going to be like C-tree platoons.
Yes, exactly that. Yep. We'll have a core, our team of people that are more experienced and people that we can count on and have the know-how how to teach as well. And I'm using the resources, the human resources coming out of the Israeli defense community, and these are our beachheads, okay, and our core capabilities. And once they're on top of things in the area, we bring in local partners and we start training them. So that helps us, and they will have to meet the standard. We won't compromise on the standard of quality. And the good news about this is that we have full control over the standard of quality, because each picture goes up to the cloud to us, and we see each picture. If the picture is not good enough, then they have to do it again. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't pass us with bad quality. They just have to be efficient and all that. So we're doing this very carefully. It's not something that can be done in weeks and months. It's a year plus transition mode. We're doing that, and this will happen 2019, 2020. And another important bottleneck that we need to open is the analysis bottleneck, because it's AI based, all of the analysis, but as you know, AI starts with human intelligence and a lot of human intelligence as the base for that. So integrating that and moving that forward is also a bottleneck, putting a lot of focus on that. So 2019 will be how to scale the technology side as well, so 50 times.
So kind of like deal with huge amounts of information, without human.
Almost a human, without human intervention. Only some QA, very minor QA to make sure that everything's okay. But we're on that track. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're on that track.
Okay. And so you picture kind of like 2019 will be more the year of like the ramp up, and maybe 2020 would be a year where you're gonna already be able to have other dedicated teams do it apart from like not necessarily in-house. Now there are a lot of elements in the actions that the teams need to do apart from like taking the picture or flying the drone or whatever, or taking the sample from the soil. But what about things like literally you need to cut down a tree, or you need to take, or you need to order the picking, or you need to do a lot of different things. Do you think that there will still be need for the troops to actually do it, or are they just going to be the enabler for the technology to make sure that the collection of the data and the information is done properly, but the actionable the actions are going to be done by the farmers, or the actions are going to be done by the teams?
Most farming actions that derive from the intelligence that we gather and from our insights are done by the farmers, actually done by the farmers, okay? But we're very, I'd say, engaged with them because we need to guide them as well, okay? And we need to make sure that they're implementing. I want to help them in the implementation. This is a very important part, because if we just supply them with good intelligence, information, and they don't do anything about it, then nothing's going to happen, okay? The bottom line at the end of the year is going to stay the same. It's not going to improve, and we want the improvement there.
Yeah.
That shows the ROI, the return on investment, why we're worth it, okay? Yeah. So we are very hands-on in this, in implementation and guiding with them, and of course teaching them, because taking farmers from the analog old world concepts now to a digitized world is tough, okay? That's a lot of training here, a lot of
Are you many times the first solution, like digitized solutions that they introduce?
We are the first, okay? Some have logistics systems for managing stock or production, but for monitoring their farms, the main element in their farms, the trees, we're the first. The first digitized trees are ours, okay? Some can have like a weather station or a soil moisture, but it's not the trees, okay? That's their main production units. And it becomes digitized first time after 2 weeks working with us, and that's a big transition.
Is this, by the way, specifically to the kinds of farms that you work with? Because, like, in my brain, it's kind of like I'm depicting. I mean, I agree with you that, you know, the kind of solutions and the kind of information and data collection that we can do today is significantly different than 5 years ago. But I would imagine that there has to be a level of technology there. Otherwise, like, how can people even cope with like these huge farms, and also with kind of like the younger generation of the children who are coming into these farms to manage them, and they have, you know, they're growing up in the iPhone age, so they want the same kind of experience when they're at work with their families.
Well, they didn't have that, okay? Up till now, technology has arrived in the farming arena in the past few years, okay? Precision agriculture is around for 20 years, but permanent crops, especially permanent crops, trees are so complicated and difficult that they've been left behind. So most of the developments that you see in startups and technology go to field crops or greenhouses or those areas, but the big, huge area of permanent crops, meaning crops that live for 30 years, haven't received that. Now, what they have received is some machinery and maybe some I don't know, some sensors, but these are marginal in the way they operate, and suddenly to come in and put it on the main element that they're targeting, meaning the trees and the fruit, and being able to digitize that's the big change, and we're the first to do that right now.
You're their first partner to help them.
Yes. They have seen aerial imagery, many, but it hasn't been good enough because it was only a particle of what they need. Getting it integrated into one system, the aerial and the ground, and everything digitized, and like an intelligence network, this is the first one, and this is why the impact is good, okay? Because they're suddenly getting a package and service to them where they can, you know, work with apps now and have the whole thing, and they don't have to do the work themselves. They have a full-time job. They're really busy. They can't put time into flying drones or analyzing graphs or okay. So bringing that in, that's the big change. And up till now, they're still relying on their eyes and their feet to analyze the trees, and that's what we want to change.
Okay. So let's move back a little bit to where we were talking about before, about kind of like the growth of the company. We were talking about 2019, 2020. How do you see kind of like the next funding round? Like, where do we need to be in order to get a strong next round?
I think we need to seize the opportunity that we're seeing and we're feeling, okay, with the need. Then I believe that we're tapping into the need pretty much okay because they want it, and the conversion from trial to customers is very high. Okay, they're not
very high.
So it's about 85%. Okay, so basically only one in every place has said, "What? Give me some time to adjust." But everybody's saying yes. Let's move on from trial to paying customers. Okay, so we're very happy about that. Yes, strong indication, and the fact that we haven't been doing any marketing, and I'm having a tough time managing our pipeline. Okay, we have no salesmen yet. Okay, but we have a pipeline of customers waiting in different areas, in the areas that we're already operating, but in additional areas, means that we're probably doing something good. Okay, so
how many customers do you have today?
We have 8 in the U.S. and we have 5 in Brazil, and 1 major one in Indonesia. Okay, and we just stopped at those. Yeah. Okay, we wanted.
So before the next round, where would you like that to be? Because there's also a land and expand. Because in the current business, we're gonna take part in a much more significant percentage of the farm.
Right.
And at the same time, we want more significant customers,
right,
and potentially more regions,
right,
and more crops.
And more crops, exactly. So I would say number one priority is customer, I'd say, retention and growth, meaning we want to see that our existing customers keep on the service, implement it, and grow, because the potential that our existing customers have today is huge. Okay, it's huge. We're tapping into
with the 14
just
customers?
With those the acreage, the potential. I don't want to throw out numbers because the numbers are high, very high. We have the top grower in Brazil. We have the top second largest grower in California, and we have a huge grower in Indonesia, meaning it's more than we can swallow. Okay, if we grow just with them and not even the others beside them, it's huge. Okay, and these are market leaders. Okay, so others are looking at them and seeing what they're doing, and if they sign more and more, it means that the others will follow. Okay, because we're leading this. So number one, customer.
I remember when we talked about, just to make sure that we're on the same page, for these customers. Yeah. I remember we were talking. This is like millions of dollars.
Oh, yes.
Of potential revenues just in these customers.
Right, exactly.
Right?
These customers, just in California, okay, the customer base that we have right now is 100,000 acres. That's $6 million with what we have right now with the basic package. Not, we have a few packages. The cheapest package that we can get, that's that. Okay, so I want to get that on track. And in Brazil, it's 3 times that. Okay, it's huge. And Indonesia, the same.
Yeah,
the same. So just these, getting customer retention and growth, meaning farmers tend to take for small portions to test it, try it out, then move on and get more and more and more, and that's what we want to do that, but we want to do that fast. Okay, yeah. and we're seeing signs that they're acting faster than usual. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is growing in geography, in customers in those areas, which is naturally going. Number 3 is new geographies, and 4 is new crops.
Which sometimes go together, like Indonesia.
Yes, Indonesia, palms suddenly came in, but the good news that we've learned there is that it is very, very similar because the principles of the plants are very similar. Green is good, yellow is not. Yellow are signs of stress. Drying out is stress. Plants need water, need nutrients, have disease, all of them. Unfortunately, like people, are very complicated, but they're simple in what the inputs and the outputs. And if you have the right infrastructure and muscles in the team, meaning you can deal. It warrants some tweaking and adaptation, but in weeks we've implemented 4 palms, really in weeks, which is a big difference. So we plan to do that as well. So going to new geographies and new.
So what is the milestone? Where do you say this is where I want to hit? Then I'm doing the next growth round.
By the end, I want to hit an ARR of $1 million in this year, okay, and to go with that to the next funding round, meaning around end of year, fall time, to reach those milestones there, especially the financial one, and with that go for the next round of $20 million funding, double what we're worth today, the 35 million post money valuation. So try to around that ballpark. That's what we'd like. That'll enable us to take a huge step forward in 220 and move fast. Because as I said, the opportunity is now. It's big. We're going to see copycats coming up. It's going to take them a while to catch up.
I have to say, I'm curious about, well, we said it in terms of the revenues, but I think, by the way, in other industries, like in enterprise software, for instance, $1 million ARR is not going to get you the valuation that you just said.
But in farming, we've done some research about that, and $1 million of revenue of ARR,
recurring revenue.
Yeah, recurring revenue is in this amount of time is a strong, very, very strong signal. It's enabled much higher rounds.
But I think it's, by the way, it has to come with a combination of how many customers. Because if it's a $1 million from one customer versus $1 million from 20 customers is very different.
Right. If we show strong presence in California and in Brazil and in Indonesia, and they're on track and they've signed up again, and we're seeing the pipeline is big. We're diverse in crops, as well as geographies, and all of that together, plus the 1 million, that'll be the signal that the catalyst for that.
What happens if it doesn't happen come fall? If it happens 6 months later, a year later, what do you think will happen?
We will have to adapt, meaning we're careful. We're not going all out and spending everything and scaling and all. We're doing it in I'd say careful. That's a good description there. And just because of the rainy day, if we hit fall and it's still a bit slow, farmers are slow, and all of that.
Or maybe they're not slow, but they didn't renew or they didn't increase to the magnitude that you thought.
Right, that could happen. Of course, that can happen. We'll do everything we can to avoid that. But if that can happen, we'll do it slower. We'll take smaller steps. Focus in these areas. These areas are big enough to do that, to show that. We'll focus and not expand, and until we win it. Okay, we win the specific areas. Okay, and look, we have already customers that have more than shown faith in us, meaning that they're now expanding and pushing us forward, and so I am feeling good. The signs are good. It's not that we're just trying out and seeing where we are. There is a good, strong customer base that is pushing forward. Okay, so we plan to move on that.
Yeah. So do you think the biggest challenge today, from what I hear, it's like the biggest challenge is just capacity?
No,
it's
two,
just being
two
able
challenges. I'd say two challenges. One is what I explained about implementation. Getting the farmers to implement, meaning implement is changing the way they farm. Okay, it's really transforming the way they farm. I'll give you an example. Up till now, they've been farming on huge blocks. The minimum size of area that they would farm was about 40 acres in the U.S., close to 100 hectares in Brazil and Indonesia. They didn't know that there were smaller particles, smaller units, and the big advancements in profit and in yield come when you go into, they call it subatomic farming. They coined that. Going subatomic there, going into the clusters and the trees and managing them and getting them optimized gets the whole thing move forward. Yeah. So that means that they're changing the way they're thinking, the way that they're irrigating, that they feed nutrients, and the way they pick, and so on. And so that is number one, getting the implementation in, us helping them with that. That will ensure that we don't get pushed out, okay? Yeah. That's also very sticky, meaning once we do that with the farmer, we're together with him, okay? So that's number one. And number two is the scale, is managing the scale with focus, doing it right, not diluting ourselves too much on the one hand, but not on the other hand, not sitting back and just enjoying what we're doing right now. We have to keep pushing forward, because each customer that we're seeing and we're now working with, it's like we're trusted partners, okay? And as we can get as many as we can, that's great. That's great for the future.
Okay. How many people are you now?
We're now close to 40 people now.
How many do you need to be at the end of the year?
I think we're good now for the next half year, pretty much half year. We've just, due to the funding, we hired and we strengthened ourselves, and that's good for now. And we'll have a trickle of additional people coming in, but that's it. I don't want to do a big major overall right now. And we'll wait to see what happens up till summer to make sure that we don't overexpose. So if we're seeing good signs that we're going to meet our targets for the next round, we'll do that. Mm-hmm. Then we'll start. Only then we'll start expanding. Yeah.
And now a personal question. Yeah. So we talked about the challenges of the company for the next round and kind of like for the next growth phase. What are your challenges as a CEO?
That's a tough question. But on the one hand, it's a lot of challenges.
Everything. I know the job, but it's like it is very challenging. Walk me through like two things that really
how to
keep
be
you up at night.
Great. That's where do I need to be? Where do I need to focus in the next few weeks each time? That's a huge challenge, because and I can't be in the different places juggling between U.S., the customers there, Brazil, our development center here in Israel, the people, seeing our workers enough, going into new areas. I need to juggle that in the right way, and that I lose on that sleep right there. How to tackle getting a better service to the customers, meaning showing them the ROI that we're providing. That's a constant race. That I can't sit back and say, okay, it's working, the product is running, everything is great, I can just now focus on business development or the people. So I constantly have to move between these different areas and topics, and that's a tough juggling act. That's where I'm worried if I'm missing in a different area or with certain people, certain customers, and that's my biggest problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
And well, one of the elements, or like the way that many times people do it, is really build, the team, like the management that then each person you can delegate to, and they can take ownership. So you've started.
We've accelerated that now, but as you know, it takes time for the people to really fill the roles, the new roles that they get. But we have great people, meaning the team is very, I think, very talented. I'm really excited about our team, and they're adjusting well to their enhanced roles, and each one is more than what the title that's written there under his name. They have to be more than that. They have to be partial CEOs as well, not just developers, or the CTO cannot be just the CTO, and the COO cannot be just the COO, and they have to take on CEO responsibilities as well, meaning overlapping. We need to overlap and make sure that we can cover the whole spec of issues that we have here.
How much does your kind of like military experience and training comes into play here?
I think this is where it comes best, because growing the team and the chain of command and the junior guys, pushing them forward. This is done a lot in the military defense capabilities, especially when you scale into a new area and you have big challenges, huge challenges, and you don't have enough people to do it. You don't have enough time to do it, and all of that. That's where I got a lot of my experience, and that's what I'm using. If I didn't have that, I'd be having a really tough time right now. Having a tough time, but now I know how to tap back to my experience and do that. Another good area that it helps me is that it's a good pool of resources, meaning great people are coming out of the Israeli defense community that I know, and they know me, and that helps a lot in getting the trust element, and we know how to work together, and we know the strengths and weaknesses of each other. That's good for running teams, and they're joining. The great people are coming in from technology side, from operational side, intelligence side. All of these are very relevant here, and that's another good strength that I'm enjoying.
Yeah. Do you think, by the way, that C3 will enjoy a sustainable competitive advantage, or that somebody can come in with a lot of resources and
I think that
lunch?
I think that we have a head start, a good head start, but yeah, they're going to copy. They're copying. We're seeing it happening. We are seeing initial steps right there. Some of our customers have told us that they were approached by people claiming to do what we do, but as I'm quoting them, well, they're 2-3 years behind C3. So I think we have a 2-year head start, and that's a lot here. Okay. Nowadays, 2 years, if you're good, you capture the strong beachheads, strong base, you can really win the market. Okay, and I'm again, farmers, the fact that they're conservative and traditional, and that's for our favor. Meaning, once we're in, they're saying, okay, we have our data partners. We've been hearing that. Okay, we get our data from C3 as they get their tractors from John Deere. They're saying that, and I love that. That's great.
It's great to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I really appreciate spending a little bit more time with you and learning kind of a little bit the way that you see things going forward for the next year or two. and we'll keep
Looking
it
forward.
going.
Yes, thank you very
Very
much.
excited.
We are too. Thank you. We're happy that we're together in this journey. Thank you very much for your support.
Thanks, Israel. Thank you.
Thank you.